Hello, I'm Annette Young, and welcome to the 51%, a show about women who are reshaping our world, and also welcome to the very first show of 2025, where we'll be focusing on that often forgotten issue, that being girls' rights. And we begin in Pakistan, where girls as young as 13 are being married off to much older men. Sometimes the reason is an unexpected one: climate change. The country being on the front line as floods become more frequent and more families lose their land or their income. Peter O'Brien takes us to the village of Dadu Sin in the south.
Najma is one of Pakistan's so-called monsoon brides. She'd just turned 14 when her parents informed her of her marriage. In exchange for a dowry of 250,000 rupees, about 860 euros.
The floods destroyed our homes. All our animals died. My family told me we had nothing left, so they married me off. My husband gave my parents 250,000 rupees for the marriage, but he had taken out a loan that we have no way to repay.
According to UNICEF, Pakistan ranks 6th globally for early child marriages. With increasingly extreme monsoons, more and more families are left without land and have no choice but to marry off their daughters, often very young, to secure a dowry. This money is then used to feed the rest of the family.
We now married him young because, after the floods, we had nothing left. Poverty increased, houses collapsed, and there was nothing. That's why we thought if we marry them, it will reduce our burden.
Pakistani law prohibits the marriage of girls and boys under 18, but in rural areas the practice persists. Nationwide, 1 in 6 girls is married during childhood.
When we look at the numbers, we see the impact of climate change and flooding. This year there were 45 marriages in this village alone, among just 250 families. 15 of those marriages took place in the last 3 months.
In 2022, 1/3 of Pakistan was flooded. Precious crops were destroyed in a country where agriculture accounts for 1/4 of GDP. It was a catastrophe for countless Pakistanis already living below the poverty line, and for millions of young girls forced to live a life they never chose.
And joining me now from the long way in Malawi is Memory Banda, the founder of Foundation for Girls Leadership. Memory, thank you so much for your time. We've just seen there a report on child marriage in Pakistan. Now, you grew up in Malawi and saw girls around you being married off at a very young age. So what impact does it have not only on them, but also on their communities?
Thank you so much, Annette. And indeed, the story of Pakistan that we have just seen is not so much different from the case of Malawi. We have alarming figures of girls being married off every day, girls dropping out of school. And mind you, we are not just talking about girls. We're talking about the future of almost 50%. We know they are being denied to their right to education. And this has a big impact on them as young girls. They're dropping out of school, and at the same time, we are talking about issues of psychotherapy issues, where now they are traumatized, they go through sexual violence when they are in these marriages, and at the same time, they are exposed to so many other economic barriers. They can't stand on their own. They are not economically liberated, and the sake of poverty keeps on going. And I'm not surprised that Malawi is one of the poorest country in the world, because we are losing almost each and every year, almost 50% of the population. We are losing that through child marriage.
In many countries where there is child marriage, Memory, there's also female genital mutilation. And while laws have been introduced in a number of African nations, the practice is still widespread in many parts of Africa. So relying simply on laws doesn't work, does it, Memory?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. As you rightly said, we have laws and policies in place, but you still see a lot of female genital mutilation still happening in different parts of Africa. Actually, it raises more questions whether laws are enough, and in my case, laws alone are not enough. We need to ensure that we popularize these laws. We ensure that we raise awareness at community level so that they actually understand that female genital mutilation is actually against human rights. It's actually against the rights of girls themselves. You know, they have their own rights to their body autonomy, and once these girls go through female genital mutilation, it means we are actually denying their rights. We are actually violating their rights.
Memory, let's take a pause there and head to Senegal, where the case of a 9-year-old girl pregnant as a result of being raped by her Koran teacher has sparked outrage, particularly from human rights groups. In Senegal, victims of rape and incest are required to carry their pregnancies to term. The only exception is if the abortion can save the mother's life. But in practice, this requires very strict conditions. Caitlin Kelly has more.
At a reception centre in Pekin, a suburb of Dakar, the Association of Senegalese Jurists provide legal support to women in need.
Very often, victims of sexual violence or rape come to us for assistance.
These lawyers are representing the 9-year-old girl who became pregnant as a result of being raped by her Koran teacher in Jal Fadiouf, 100 kilometres south of Dakar. The child is expected to deliver via caesarean section in February, though not without risks, say the association. The case has mobilised activists in Senegal on the right to abortion for the victims of rape and incest.
We're still in favour of punishing illegal abortion. Now, we want to see mechanisms put in place so that victims of rape and incest can have an abortion, because that's a fundamental right. A 9-year-old girl forced to become pregnant is very traumatic.
Senegal ratified the Maputo Protocol 20 years ago, which recognises access to medicalised abortion as a fundamental right for women in cases of rape and incest. Rights groups are calling on authorities to honour this commitment.
We are optimistic that the government will step up. All we need is an implementing decree so that a new, much more binding law can be passed as soon as possible with the new assembly.
The government did not respond to France 24's request for an interview. A recent report by the International Federation for Human Rights revealed that abortion and infanticide are the second most common reasons why women and girls are jailed in the country.
And watching that report with me is Memory Banda, the founder of the Foundation for Girls Leadership in Malawi. A horrific tale there, Memory, about sexual violence directed towards girls. And as we heard there, abortion and infanticide are one of the most common reasons for the imprisonment of women and girls in Senegal. Again, how do we change community mindsets so that it's accepted that girls' rights are paramount?
Yeah, this is really horrific, and just to think about it, that each and every day girls' rights, women's rights are being denied, like globally, and it's really of much concern. And hearing this case right now, it takes me back to Malawi, where we actually have the very same problem, where victims of rape are usually too often not supported. And we also have the outstanding bill that still sits in the parliament, where we have had numerous debates on it, and it hasn't even been passed up to date. If women who go through rape, who go through this horrific situation, if they can go through abortion, and so really is something that is of a greater concern. And these girls that are going through this, it means at the same time, it means that they are actually being denied their rights. And we are also talking about the border autonomy right here, where these girls do not have a say about their own bodily being. Somebody is actually dictating on what has to happen to their bodies. And this is so wrong. And I feel that it's high time that African countries, we have to really think through this, shift our thinking, shift our rules in ensuring that every girl, every woman is actually protected everywhere.
Memory Banda, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Annette. It was a pleasure being here today.
And that's it for this edition. So until our next show, bye for now.